We have this longer term level of resistance here that we are just kind of almost at, not necessarily at. And the way I created these lines was I essentially drew these lines on a log scale, and then I went back to a linear scale. So you'll see here if I turn on log, this actually becomes a pretty straight channel. But then when I turn it off, you can see how the log scale really can make this look pretty interesting, like one of those Swiss horns.
This is the How to Trade Stocks and Options podcast, brought to you by 10MinuteStockTrader.com, where we cover finance, stocks, options, entrepreneurship, education, and money. And here's your host, voted one of the top 100 people in finance, Christopher Ewell. Today's episode is produced in partnership with Trendspider. Get scanning, charts, backtesting, and alerts all in one place with Trendspider. Go to trendspider.10MinuteStockTrader.com to get an exclusive discount code and bonuses worth over $100 when you take your free trial at trendspider.10MinuteStockTrader.com. Hey, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time we give you more tools, tips, and tricks to help you trade faster and trade smarter every single week.
Everybody, Jake here with Trendspider to go over the monthly charts as they're about to close on Monday, November 30th. And want to just go over some different setups going into the last month of 2020. It's been quite a year, so definitely want to touch on some of the different setups, mainly across SPY, QQQ, IWM, and then we'll do the FANG stock. So let's start with SPY. You can see here that we do have just simply a blank chart up. And what I want to do is I want to turn on the trends feature. And what you can see here is the auto trends really finds this broadening formation, but it also finds this longer term level of resistance that's right in confluence with this broadening formation that really started in 2018. And this trend line goes all the way back to 2015. So definitely something to keep in mind that we're literally trading right at the confluence of both of these resistance lines, and we'll have to see if this breaks. If it does break, I think this is really going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy pretty much for everyone who's been watching this. Pretty much every chart I've seen on SPY has been this chart, except this longer term level of resistance. So not only do we have the shorter term broadening formation resistance, but we also have this longer term resistance as well. Just to mention, if you guys do like this concept of using the auto trends and then going in and locking in your own trend lines, you can try out Trendspider free for 7 days. And we do have the 50% off going until Monday, November 30th. So definitely take advantage of that. It's 50% off any plan, any time frame, either the monthly or the annual subscription. So as we go into the Qs, we have this longer term level of resistance here that we are just kind of almost at, not necessarily at. And the way I created these lines was I essentially drew these lines on a log scale, and then I went back to a linear scale. So you'll see here if I turn on log, this actually becomes a pretty straight channel. But then when I turn it off, you can see how the log scale really can make this look pretty interesting, like one of those Swiss horns. So definitely near long-term resistance. Looks like we're flagging a little bit here. And that's actually pretty common across a lot of the FANG stocks we'll go over. IWM, you can see here that we did break out of this longer-term broadening formation. So in my opinion, which doesn't really matter much, the market really is the only thing that really matters in price action. But the fact that we did break out of this longer-term level of resistance on IWM tells me risk is definitely on, because small caps are definitely more of a risky play rather than these longer term FANG stocks. All of these stocks have just been going up forever, where IWM is really, over the last 2 years, has not really done too much at all. So the fact that we are breaking these 2018 highs is definitely worth noting. So we could also put a resistance line here as well to note that we are breaking through those previous all-time highs. Let's go into FANG stocks now. We have Facebook. Facebook is definitely forming an interesting kind of ascending triangle here. We'll have to see if it continues up into the coming months, but all in all, I mean, all of these stocks are either flagging or they've got these bullish ascending triangle setups here. So this is Facebook, keeping it really simple on this particular video here. But let's anchor a VWAP from this low here, this capitulation point. If we did break down through this support area, this level of interest around, let's say 233 from the anchored VWAP would be an area to watch. Now going into Amazon, we do have the same type of thing. We have this flag forming here. Now we do have some wicks kind of invalidating this bull flag, but I'm really more paying attention to the bodies here and the fact that these bodies are really forming this flag. So let's see what happens going into the next few months. and especially the last month of 2020, let's anchor a volume by price here from this capitulation point, and you'll see there's quite a bit of volume forming here. I actually did a video on this earlier this week on PLTR. This same exact formation was forming, except it was more of a pennant on the 65-minute chart, and just a really strong move up after that. So really, anytime you have a bull flag or a bull pennant with this big volume shelf here using the anchored volume by price, this is definitely showing that there's a volume supporting price at this area. So keep that in mind going into the next couple months. Let's look at Apple. Apple's one that definitely seems to be kind of setting up for like a number 2, if you want to call it that. The reason why I'm calling it that is because if we anchor the volume by price from this low, we don't have a ton of volume supporting price here yet, but we have a very similar setup here. We have green candle, red, red, green, green candle, red, red, green. So we'll have to see what happens. There's obviously a few differences here. So for example, the wick is a little different here from February 2020 compared to September of 2020, but all in all, still the same type of pattern. I would like to see a little more volume supporting price here, but all in all, just looking at price action and candles, definitely setting up very similar. Let's move on to Netflix, and this is one that's got a little hat on it. So you can see here I drew this kind of very defined kind of, I don't even know what you want to call that. It almost looks like a roof. But if we anchor the volume by price from this bottom here, you can see there's really not a lot of volume shelf here. All the volume is kind of distributed across this entire range. You can see that the point of control is way down here at 295, 296, and we're trading up at 485. So quite a few shares holding profit at this point. We'll just have to see what happens going into the next couple months. But this one has had some trouble in the last, honestly, like 5 months. We have just traded within a very distinct range, just very defined range, I think is the word I was looking for there. But definitely, if we break through that 575 area and close through it, that would be the area to watch for the next leg up. And who knows, maybe that will happen once FANG stocks really start to get going. Last one we'll go over is Google. Google's one that definitely has actually started the bigger move up compared to the other ones. You can see here if we just get rid of this volume by price, we are starting to potentially close through this. Now, I did make this video on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, so just keep that in mind. There's still a couple days left, 2 trading days left for this to finally close actually through resistance. But notice how I've used 2 trend lines instead of 1, highlighting this zone rather than just one area connecting the wick to the wick. Now, let's turn on some seasonality and see historically how Google has done. Let's say over the last, let's do monthly, looking at the last, since 2014, so that's about the last 6 years, you can see that this is generally a pretty strong time for Google. 71% win rate, and then December 67% win rate. So definitely a higher than 50% win rate for these last couple months of the year historically. And let's see what happens going into the rest of the year. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is VIX. VIX is one that we'll look at seasonality as well. And one thing I want to look at on VIX is the fact that we have this. Let's go back to 1990, and so we have this November 32% win rate. So that means since 1990. And I'm actually going to look at this overall win rate here because this is a very weird year. Obviously, it's an election year, so we are kind of taking into account non-election years. But overall, November has a 32% win rate over the last 30 years for VIX, and then it goes down to 13% win rate when we take into account election years. But then December is pretty even, so it's 50% here, but it's 57% during election years. So the main thing to keep in mind here is that the VIX historically does go up, at least the win rate goes up. It doesn't always have to close green towards the end of the year. Keep in mind tax loss selling is a thing towards the end of the year. Sometimes that will add to a little selling pressure in the market. But all in all, VIX definitely getting absolutely destroyed this month, right in line with the historical performance. And then October really just kind of verbatim as well to the historical data with a huge move up. And then when we did have this data in, I just don't have all these dates, and it's going to take me 5 minutes to put all these different dates in to exclude the non-election years. But remember, if you've seen the previous videos, 100% win rate in October during election years. So definitely something to consider. That VIX does tick up a little bit, at least the win rate does, into the end of the year for December. And let's see what happens. Remember, we do have 50% off any plan right now until November 30th. If you guys have any questions at all, definitely let us know. We appreciate you watching. We hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. It's been a great year at Trendspider because of everyone that has been a customer and all of your support. So thank you everyone so much for your support and really just being so optimistic about Trendspider. It really keeps us going and makes us want to just innovate and improve the platform constantly. So everybody have a great Thanksgiving. If you're watching this after Thanksgiving, hopefully you had a great Thanksgiving with family and friends, and stay safe out there, and thanks for watching.
Okay, so what'd you think? That was pretty incredible, right? Now, if you like that, that's only a taste, only a sample of what you're going to find in the full AI stock trading system. And I really highly encourage you to go and check this out. Obviously, you are interested in learning on how to trade, and that's why you're listening to this podcast. Now, I'm going to take and download my entire trading system that I use day in and day out onto you. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is over at the AIStockTradingSystem.com. You're going to get phase 1, 2, and 3, several bonuses, and on top of that, I'm going to walk you through over a dozen trades that I put on inside of my account, holding your hand and showing you exactly how I got in, how I got out, how I use the artificial intelligence data, and how this could work inside of your own trading portfolio on a daily basis. So make sure you head on over to AIStockTradingSystem.com. That's AIStockTradingSystem.com to learn more and to get started and to download my decade plus worth of trading experience into your hands so you can start using the AI stock trading system today, the 5-step system to take the guesswork out of trading. Hey, if you like this video, let me know by leaving me a like below, and then subscribe and share it with somebody you think could use it as well. Be sure to comment below with your biggest takeaway from this episode and any suggestions you have for future episodes. And finally, make sure you watch these other videos to help you trade faster and trade smarter, and I'll see you on the next episode.